more aggressive with your mandate, some will fall off the boat, and that's okay. I'm becoming aggressive but not arrogant. I'm becoming passionate but not arrogant. However, there are some that's going to read it as arrogance. So I'm going to hold accountability with my leadership and my congregation for the mandate of this house. If you feel God has called you into this house, then you're either a pot plant or you're a tree. And a pot plant can be transplanted and it can be moved around from one church to the next. But if you are a tree that becomes rooted in the vision that God's given me, then you will bear fruit. A pot plant cannot bear fruit, but a tree that's rooted into the vision will not become offended. So I've got a whole bunch of people that stayed and they say, we are sold out to this. There was no offense whatsoever. I am not angry at what you said. I think it's time that you did what you did and you said what you said. So given that some people will get offended, the Bible is very clear. Jesus gave me the greatest revelation during this time. I said, Lord, what have I done wrong? Why are so many people left? It was like the waters were contaminated and the fish were dying. And Jesus reminded me, it's not that. It's because you raised the standard of passion, of revelation, of accountability for the mandate I placed on your life. That's why Holy Spirit put it in you to raise the bar. And because you raise the bar, don't worry about who gets offended. They were not called to the vision. They will be accountable for what I've called them to do, but they were never really trees. That's why they could not bear fruit in your ministry. They could come to one of your churches and they could bear fruit, wonderful fruit, because your mandate is different. My mandate is different. Now, if I become hurt, if I remain hurt, I will go into bitterness. I can't avoid the hurt. So I cannot remain hurt though. In other words, I cannot keep meditating on the hurt and worry. I just say, if this was your time to go, goodbye. I bless you and I release you. I have peace that you left because you were frustrating the ministry. So I release them. So I'm going to hold them accountable. And if it's to the point of offense, I'm not the one bringing the offense. You are getting offended with what? With the word. As long as you're getting offended with the word, even though you might say it's me, but the word says I need to keep the bar higher. I need to keep the standard higher. And the moment I drop the standard, I am disobeying the word. And I'm the one that's going to have a failure in ministry. So that's the accountability. Don't worry about who you offend. Keep running hard, keep running strong, and just say, whoever is called to this vision, they will come. Sometimes there are people that are the blockage within the system. And you can't get forward because they're blocking the system. And the moment they leave, they make room for two more. Everyone that leaves make room for two more, because God will give you double for your trouble. So whatever happens, if people leave, there's more that's going to come. They've just made room for more. So that's how I see it. I'm not going to worry about what has been lost. I know that I did not offend them because of my own desires. I offended them because of God's desires. There's the difference. As long as I'm pursuing God's desire, there's a big difference. So how do I project that towards the congregation? Rooted. So how does a congregation become rooted? With their tithes and offering. They become rooted by supporting the feeding schemes, supporting the mission works. That's being rooted. And that becomes the fruit that is produced. So they need to understand, you don't have to become a leader to prove that you're rooted in this ministry. Whatever vision, whatever assignment we're setting before the ministry, you cannot get offended. You have to be a part of this. So when we raise the bar, if we did it a certain way of feeding people the last time, let's do it with better excellence. Why do we always want to go feed with expired stuff? Why do we always want to receive things that are getting old from the supermarkets? Let's raise the bar of excellence. Let's give them good stuff. If we're going to give gifts, let's give them good stuff, not flimsy stuff. If we're going to bless people with blankets, let's give them really good blankets, not blankets that we give to animals. Let's get good stuff. Let's do things well with excellence. So that's how you get your congregation to be passionately sold out to excellence. And then is it possible to be accountable, like Prof asked, to God and man? And how do you tell the difference? How do you get them to understand that? Well, our level of accountability, if you have the God man or the God woman that you're accountable to, they will always hear God to lead you in the direction. So if we are dealing with our leadership and we are the men of God, the voice of God over those leaders, we got to remind them that as much as you think you're hearing God, it could well be a familiar spirit. Because how do you know it's a familiar spirit? When you begin to reject the direction that the man and woman of God is taking us in.